My 10F sister pushed pregnant mom down the stairs. I'm genuinely fucking confused. Maybe Reddit can shed some light on this? Throwaway account because I don't want my IRLs to know this. I'm 23F, my sister is 10F. Technically half-sister, my mom got married to my stepdad a while after my bio dad died. They're both the best parents I could ever wish for. They are kind, accepting, understanding and etc. I can't stress this enough, there is no abuse in our family. Not even yelling. It all started when my sister, let's call her Jane, was 8. Mom and dad said they're going to be trying for another baby. Jane was very unhappy with this and told me that much. We've always been pretty close and she said that she enjoyed our parents' attention after I moved out for college. I empathized with her but also tried to tell her how cool it is to get to be the big sister. Jane was not convinced. She became more possessive of mom and dad and would cry frequently. They put her in therapy and also had family therapy. I'm not sure of the details, but the therapist was concerned about something. Due to mom's age, early 40s, postponing the pregnancy wasn't really an option, so they kept trying. It took them about a year before they announced we would be having a new sibling. Jane shut down completely, she became angry and withdrawn. Parents changed therapists BC first one didn't seem to be helping, the second one said to let Jane adjust and feel her feelings. When mom was 5 months pregnant, Jane forcefully pushed her down the stairs. Mom had to go to the hospital and had a head trauma and subsequently lost the baby. It was absolutely insane. It happened on the back side of the house where we have a platform and a steep wooden staircase leading to it and a camera had caught the entire incident. I must have rewatched that video 1,000 times. There is no mistake that it was done maliciously and with intent. I drove back home from college and missed 1/3 of a semester helping my parents deal with this. The police and CPS got involved. Every single person I've encountered during this time seemed to be creeped out by Jane. Hell, I was. She showed no remorse. All she cared about was that there was no baby. She was committed to a psych facility for 3 months and that visit came back inconclusive. She has never, ever displayed such unhinged behavior. Just normal 9-year-old things like I don't want to clean or let me stay up past my bedtime. I've always thought she was a fairly calm little girl. I went on the internet and in extreme cases like that there always seemed to be signs, like being maliciously disobedient or killing animals or something. Jane was normal up until the baby thing. Literally no warning no nothing. And the atmosphere back home is so weird now. Mom isn't really a mom to her anymore, she actively avoids Jane and just does the bare minimum, feeds her, gets her to and from school and gets her to and from the CPS mandated therapist. Stepdad is doing all the emotional work basically. Why am I posting? It TBH. This is such a weird place to be in. I mean, I still love my sister but there's gotta be some kind of reason why she resorted to violence and murder? At 9 years old? 9-year-olds don't know shit. How did she even know that pushing someone down the stairs will do it? She doesn't even have internet access. Edit, if you guys mean well but just give her up isn't an option in my state. It's a red state with shit, protect the family, laws that would have both of my parents in jail for child abandonment and Jane does not qualify for removal due to safety concerns as there are no other children in the household and no official diagnosis. The current plan is a boarding school in 2 years and maybe a residential facility before that, if we can find one that has good reviews. Okay, so your sister is a physocapath. She definitely needs help and you need to distance your sister from your mother. Mother-in-law ignored my wishes and got my 3-week-old sick and now I'm leaving my husband. I, 34 female, met my husband, 36 male, have been married to my husband for 5 years. It has been wonderful. Aside from my MIL. She's always had this emotional incest hold over him and while he does try to come to my defense when she starts her nitpicking and sly comments, a lot of the time he drops the ball. Like when it was our 3-year anniversary and she came over knowing that I prepared all of this, I asked her for his favorite chicken recipe, and ruined the night and he said just let her stay. This time I'm done. We just had our baby boy 3. Yes 3 weeks ago and as you can imagine I am not in the space for company or her flippant comments about how I'm parenting. Myself and my husband have both told her we need at least 2 months to get acclimated and we don't want our son to get sick and she will have to quarantine for at least a week before she can come over to see him. That may be a little much but he's my first baby. After a week of badgering she seemed like she understood. She assured him. This leads me to Friday. She comes over unannounced with balloons, presents, along with my SIL, BIL, and her 2 friends who I don't even know. I stood there in horror and shock as she darted towards my baby and kissed his face. She knew he was leaving the second he's gone she does this? I screamed at her and the family to get the hell out of my house. She called my husband crying and he got back yesterday and told me that I needed to apologize and she's just happy for the first boy grandchild. I'm actually crying while writing this because now he has a fever and my husband just doesn't get it. This is the last straw. I told him he needs to tell her to back off or I'm done. He said I was overreacting and she was just excited. His siblings did not know I didn't give her permission and they called and apologized profusely. His mother feels like she's being ganged up on. Yesterday I talked to him and I have come to the realization that I care so much about my baby getting sick but he doesn't. I'm closing this chapter. I met with a good friend who is a lawyer and I'm getting all my ducks in order. My husband is calling and blowing up my phone. I blocked his mother because she was too. I can't block him because he is the father of our child and he does have rights to see his son, but I am done. He no longer has access to me, he'll have to go through a mediator and only communication will be about our child. I'm heartbroken that 5 years are gone, but the fire inside of me from this situation is making it better. I had to come back here and edit that he no longer has access to me, but he will obviously still be in our son's life. I would never be that evil to keep him away from our son unless he was physically abusive to him. Also, he couldn't have gotten sick from me because I've been holed up in a house for 3 weeks pretty much. Yes, I met my MIL. I wrote this in a time where I was emotional. Swimmy. I never said she could never see him, but it's recommended 2 to 3 months before introducing your baby to people. It was barely a month. If she had just waited, she could have saw him next month with no problem. I don't completely hate her or dislike her. Do I think she's annoying and overbearing? Yes. But I would never keep her away from him. A baby under 3 months getting sick is dangerous. So no, I am not overreacting for wanting her to wait 2 more weeks to see him. A lot of you have been saying I am emotional and hormonal, and I can agree, and this is not something I can come to a decision on in one day, and being 3 weeks postpartum, I see that now that I have calmed down. I will come back and update in a month or 2. Also, she had a spare key. No longer does. What else? It was 3 days before the fever came up, so there's your incubation period. He's 3 weeks. Sorry, I should have told him to wait until an appropriate amount of time has passed before he can be sick and so we can adjust. Also, people have asked, my parents and family weren't allowed to see him either. It was never just about her because of what problems we had in the past. I would never be that evil unless she physically hurt him. She had a spare key. 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 Update 2-3? I showed my husband this Reddit post and I let our doctor talk to him, and he sees how dangerous it was for her to bombard and like that, especially when we asked her to wait about 2 months, and he had a long talking to from his uncle about asking me to apologize. This isn't fixed and I'm still upset, but we are setting up therapy because he says that he does need some pointers to help deal with his mother. He did talk to his mother and she did apologize, and I do feel like it was genuine because she is very upset that he is sick and ding dong everyone, she has a cold. After she woke up feeling like crap, she called him crying and saying that she hopes this doesn't keep her from seeing the baby forever, and I assured her, just like I've been saying, that I was never going to keep her from seeing him forever. She is his grandmother and I would never want to do that. I told her she can see him after she's gotten over her cold, and I explained to her this is what I wanted to prevent. She said she's going to wait at least 2 weeks before she's seeing him and wear a mask to be extra safe. She's sitting on Zoom with my parents looking at him and talking to him. I don't know what is going to happen with my relationship with my MIL, but I hope we can be civil for the sake of our baby boy, who is doing okay if anyone was wondering. He asked me to come home and I told him I would. Also, this and the example I stated in the first paragraph is not the only thing she's done. So know this: small, getting my 4-week-old baby sick is not small, thing was not it. I was not looking for a reason to leave him. You have nothing to feel bad about? Really? Good on you, I congratulate you. I don't know where you live, but this is the season when season flu is at its peak. Also, RSV is so dangerous for newborns, in comparison to adults. When I have kids, if that ever happens, any family member will have to get vaccinated with everything on the market beforehand. COVID vaccine, flu shot, pneumonia, literally everything. I am not letting someone's measly MIL get my newborn sick. I am so sorry on your behalf. Mama's boys are the absolute worst. As you mentioned, your husband never really stands up for you to the fullest potential. It would have continued on exactly like this. Don't feel bad. Look out for your son. My husband forgot my birthday, again. My 31F birthday was yesterday. I've been with my husband, 31M, for 11 years, and every year he forgets my birthday. I don't expect gifts or a celebration or a big deal to be made about it. I'm not into all that. But I hoped he would at least acknowledge that it was my birthday. I always make sure to wish him a happy birthday on his and take our kids to get him a little gift and usually plan a camping trip since his birthday is in the summer and he loves the outdoors. But every year he forgets my birthday and our daughter, 9, usually has to remind him and then ask him to take her to the store because even though I tell her I don't want anything, she insists on getting me something small. This year I told her not to remind him to see if he'd remember on his own and to no one's surprise, he forgot. Then at the end of the day when I mentioned it to him I started crying and he started yelling at me and said I shouldn't hold it against him that he doesn't keep track of the date and that I need to stop because I'm making him look like a piece of shit. I'm getting really tired of being in a one-way relationship. I put in all the effort while he doesn't even put in the bare minimum. We both work full-time and both have physically demanding jobs. But when he comes home from work he goes straight to our room or goes out hunting or fishing. When I come home I do all the cooking and cleaning and laundry and I care for and play with our daughter and care for our pets. I'm also responsible for making sure all the bills are paid. I have to beg him just to pick up after himself and he doesn't even do that. And then when I try to talk to him about it always turns into I'm a bitch and no matter what he does, which is nothing but go to work, it's never good enough and that I always try to make him look like the bad guy. I know I should leave, but neither of us have the means to live on our own and it would devastate our daughter. I'm just tired of living like this and this just put the icing on the cake. Try to not involve your child in this. Your husband does not seem to care about your feelings for some reason. Ask yourself, do you want your child to grow up in a household where dad does nothing and the woman just does it all and gets yelled at? What example is that? My dad doesn't care about me. My dad has put several things ahead of me, including his girlfriends. When he leaves/gets a new GF, his focus becomes onto them. He does this, and has been doing it since I was a young child. He used to be on meth and many other drugs. I was living with my grandparents since birth up until 10 years old pretty much. Not so, recently, he kicked me out. It feels recent to me still, but in reality, 3-ish months will be a year. He used to abuse his ex, my stepmom since I was 7, mentally and physically, even while she was pregnant, yet he says he is a great person and has done nothing wrong. He has always been absent, not coming to my choir concerts or school plays when I was younger and in high school, yet he goes to his girlfriend's kid stuff. She has told me behind my back some awful things about him, yet he doesn't believe me because she lied to him. He got my toys stolen, including my Nintendo 3DS. He sold my things for meth. He took my money and lied to me. He made promises of taking me places, but never took me anywhere. My mom has been in jail for never paying child support, but at least she still finds a way to talk to me every year on my birthday. His girlfriend's kids are his new priority, as well as their dog. When I had my dog when I lived with him, he would berate me and yell at me for having a dog. Now, he has their dog there and buys everything for it. He used to smoke with me and we used to hang out and do things together, like actually go out, but now we never even talk. He didn't message me for Christmas. He never messages me first to check up on me. He got his current girlfriend's kids things, but got me, and, that I know of, my siblings nothing. He always goes out to eat with them, yet never with me. He spends so much money and buys them things. I ask for a $1 box of food, he denies me. I know it's bad, but I get so envious of it. He legitimately had sex with his girlfriend while she was blackout drunk, passing in and out, took her tampon out to fuck her, etc. Not only this, but he has pinned her against a wall yelling at her in front of her 7-year-old. He told me that I hurt myself for attention, yet when his current girlfriend and him split for about 2 weeks, he had pills and I had to take them out of his hands. I was crying telling him to stop and I called the cops because of how he was acting. He pretended to sleep and yelled at me for it. He got mad that I called them on him. He, then in the future, called the cops on me when I was sad, saying things like, "I didn't know if you were going to hurt yourself, I was worried," despite him doing this out of spite. Yes, I admit, I have said some very harsh things to and about him, but honestly it feels like he deserves it. He keeps ruining my life. I want to be loved by him but I despise his narcissistic ways. I want to feel approval. I have all A's? It's still not enough. I went to the psych ward this year, and all I got from him was a drunk call saying, "You've grown up so much," but my grandparents were there for me, even drove an hour to come see me. On top of that, there have been many times I try to ask him to do things with me, or anything, smoke with me, he instantly declines. But, his girlfriend asks him to the same exact thing, and he instantly agrees. I don't understand how a father could put a girl he's known less than 5 years over his own kids. It's so upsetting, and anytime I try to talk about his behavior he shuts me down or just doesn't reply to me. He needs therapy and needs to work on narcissism, but he solely believes that nothing is wrong with him, no matter what I tell him. He won't even admit he has ADHD, when all of his kids have it, his parents have it, siblings, etc. When I was diagnosed with autism, he said I was only 1% autistic and had no autistic traits, despite the fact only being able to eat certain foods, having sensory issues, screaming and crying and breaking down when I had the seams of socks touching the bottom of my feet. I feel awful. I want my dad in my life, but I want him to be good. I want him to get better, stop drinking, leave his GF so he can have a fulfilling life, but at the same time he's awful. He doesn't deserve to be happy, he deserves to continue getting used for everything he's worth. I've had chopsticks snatched out of my hands when trying to show him that I learned how to use them. I've gotten berated for cooking a singular egg, because I was eating too much, despite that being the only thing I've eaten that day. He almost made me anorexic with his comments on my eating. I lost 20+ pounds in a month when I was in middle school because of his comments. He gets so upset at anything I do, like my existence is simply a burden to him. He told me that I was an accident, I wasn't even supposed to be born. My mother threw away my birth certificate when I was 2 months old, so I know it's true, but it hurts hearing it, especially with how he meant it. I just feel like I needed to get this all off of my chest, it feels so heavy weighing down on me keeping everything back. I'm tired of being silent. I'm tired of letting him dictate my feelings. I can't let him keep affecting me to this day, so writing all of this out has helped tremendously. Thank you.